Do you wish you knew exactly how to write a sales post to attract soulmate clients using the most powerful gifts from your astrology chart? Well, guess what? Now you can learn how for free. I'm going to share my cosmic copywriting secrets that have helped people to instantly turn strangers on the internet into buyers for their high ticket offers. In my 5-part training series, Cosmic Attraction Copywriting, you'll learn the mindset switch that takes my clients from feeling confused about their content or not feeling fully safe to share their story online to making sales more easily and naturally than ever before, with the astrological placement that unlocks a new level of depth in your storytelling that builds trust 10 times faster with the clients who are genuinely a very aligned fit to work with you. Plus, the messaging tweaks that take my clients from attracting people who can't afford it to easy sales into 5-figure offers with no sales calls. And you'll get clarity on the 3 things your soulmate clients need to hear from you consistently in your message to feel confident and excited to buy your offer. You'll also get my writing process prompts to share your story in a powerful way that stands out to the right people and leads to ready to buy clients popping up into your DMs asking to work with you. Click the link in the description for instant access to Cosmic Attraction Copywriting. This is Sarah Mack and welcome to Creative Magic Club. Together, we'll discover inspirational stories of creative entrepreneurs living out their dreams, doing the work they are most passionate about, and building wealth in magical and fun ways. While building a 6-figure income as a writer and coach, helping other women to launch their dream businesses, I've connected with so many incredible people and seen it proven again and again that you can thrive financially doing whatever it is you are passionate about. I'm here to share life-changing strategies for mindset, making money, and reaching more people with your work in a business and life filled with creativity, freedom, and fun. Hi everyone, welcome. I'm so excited to introduce my special guest today. We have with us Ysabel Chavez, who is the founder and creator of Global Dream Team, a travel YouTube channel that shares stories around the world to inspire and empower people to pursue their own dreams and passions. And she recently launched a global community for dreamers and doers to come together to turn their dreams into reality. She's also a content creator for Vegan Yzzy on TikTok and Instagram, where she shares content around living a happy and healthy life. And she creates content strategy for brands, founders, and creators. Hi, Ysabel. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on the pod.
Yeah, so I met Ysabel locally. She's a local friend now, which is like super fun and exciting. And she's really inspiring and creates amazing content. So I'm so excited for you to get to know her. So why don't you tell us, like, how did you end up as a content creator? What brought you here?
Yeah, oh gosh, it's a great story. But yeah, I'll start. I have been creating content now for about a little over 4 years. I started during COVID. It was around September of 2020 that I got on TikTok and started my Vegan Yzzy channel. But before I did that, my first job out of college was I worked at a startup. It was like a mental health startup. I was like the first employee hire. It was kind of like a Bumble for therapy, like they match you with therapists. Amazing experience. I learned so much, especially being like the first employee hire and learning how to build a business from the ground up. Definitely a little bit stressful for sure. And long story short, after about a year, I was no longer working there at the company because they're running out of funding. But I decided to kind of just go all in on my own projects. It was kind of basically during COVID. Around that time, I went back home up to NorCal and Sacramento. And, with all this extra free time on my hands, and I'm sure a lot of other people, I decided to kind of go to the drawing board and figure out what are the things that I'm really passionate about and the things that I wanted to create and put out there in the world. And it gave me a lot of time to think and get that clarity. But long story short, it was around September when I decided to launch my TikTok and Instagram page, Vegan Yzzy. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to go on social. And it was the first time really kind of putting myself out there. And I did some veganized Filipino recipes and I filmed some with my mom and it kind of started to take off. I experienced like the first time really of getting some traction on social and had opportunities to work with different brands, especially in the food space. I'm a foodie at heart, so that was really exciting to just to get my start and get traction going. And then also around that time, I was basically coming up with this master plan for this Global Dream Team YouTube channel, where I wanted to combine basically the different elements of things that I was passionate about, which I was like reflecting on, which was like I love traveling, I love meeting people around the world, I love hearing stories, and I wanted to empower people to pursue their own dreams and passions as well. And I wanted to rebuild kind of this feeling of like a community that I felt like I all of a sudden, like, disappeared from me after graduating college, like, that first year. I graduated 2019, I went to UCLA, and I was a part of an entrepreneurship organization. It was amazing, it was around a lot of really inspiring individuals, and then basically that first year out of college, I was like, "Is this what adult life is?" Like, I'm waking up, going to work. It's just like a very weird phase, like, that first year I think a lot of people experience getting slapped in the face of adult life. So yeah, long story short is I wanted to find a way to connect with people again, that were inspiring, that inspired me and have those conversations with others because I found that that first year out of college, a lot of my friends and I, it was just like complaining. We were complaining about our jobs. We were like unhappy, and for some people, like, we almost accept it as, like, the reality of, like, "Okay, this is what post-grad life is," but I basically didn't wanna accept that as my reality, so I created my own job, and long story short, I invested in courses, learned content creation, how to film, how to edit, how to produce, how to work with brands, and build my own business, so it was officially, like, November of 2020 where I kinda, uh started or December is when I really started working on it or had my first videos in the works that I was filming, and then officially launched the channel in January of 2021. And that's basically how I got my start and what I'm doing, and it's been quite a journey, and I could dive deeper, but yeah, feel free to ask any other questions.
Yeah, no, I love that you mentioned how that first year after graduating from university is really challenging because I was reflecting on that. I mean, I just published my book and it starts kind of like right after I graduated because it is such a hard year. Because I feel like when you're in school, you have, like you said, this built-in community. It's also very structured. It's also very clear on like how to win. It's like if you show up here to all these classes, if you submit these papers, you're going to get a grade and you're going to like win at life. And then suddenly, and you're kind of, a lot of us are like accumulating debt and we're like adult later version of me is going to have to deal with that debt, and then you get to graduation and suddenly that like adult version of you that you had been kind of like delaying responsibilities for is here, and you're like, oh damn, now I have to figure out how to make it in this very different world. And because yeah, my partner was in education for a really long time because he's a doctor. So he literally like just officially came into like his first year of work like a year ago. I have another friend who's been doing a PhD for a long time, and I just remember it being such a hard year. And I think transitions in general can be really challenging, right? Because we don't deal very well with not knowing, of like stepping into the void, not having a clear plan, not really like knowing what we want or even what's available. And I think you and I obviously both kind of dealt with that in a similar way, and that we took that as an opportunity to ask, like, well, what do I really want? What do I really value? And I think it's such an important reminder, even if we haven't just finished school, like whenever we feel like a transition is coming up on us, or, we're kind of ending a cycle or a season, or we're in a completion moment, or we just want something different, like we've grown and we want to make a change, but we maybe don't necessarily know exactly what that is or what that might look like yet. And I think the most important takeaway from this conversation that I always have to remind myself is like step one of something different is just space, is like really carving out the time and space to listen to yourself and to check back in. And I'm kind of doing that at the moment. Like,
Yeah,
just checking back in because, like, I've been doing this work for years, so I'm like, I know what my values are. But
right.
we periodically have to check back in and be like, are these still my values? Or maybe my values are the same, but the way I want to express them or the way I want to prioritize my time and energy might be a little bit different. So it's so important to, always build in that time to reflect and reconnect. And I think as you get older and we have more responsibilities and, we're running businesses and we have family and friends and we get busy, right? And we're trying to take care of our bodies, it can feel, there can be resistance around taking time to really just get quiet and to just be with ourselves. So I love that reminder. So tell me, like, what happened next? Because when did you start traveling? Because obviously, did you travel during the pandemic or was that after?
Yeah, good question. Also fully agree with the and resonate with the space, right? Especially during COVID, we had so much space to kind of reflect, and that's kind of how this kind of was born. And then also throughout my travels, which I can touch on, it gives me the opportunity to be away from like LA and all the hustle and bustle and all the responsibilities. And it gives me so much space to unlock and receive more clarity or like downloads on like what's next for me, which spurred like this new
Mhm.
community. But yeah, so what happened next? So I started, it was like 2021, right? I was getting in the beginnings of things, doing some of my first videos. In the beginning, I was like interviewing people as well, kind of going on adventures around LA, doing some with friends. I joined like a founder community. So I like that really kicked it off in January of 2021. I like filmed like 7 videos in this. I was in a house with like 20 founders. And then I did smaller trips like kind of during this time frame because it was COVID. So I did one in Hawaii, maybe like in the springtime where things kind of settled a little bit. That was kind of like a bit of a friends trip, but then I was able to film a couple of videos in Hawaii during that time as well. And then I did my first kind of out of the country trip was it in like November of 2021. I went to Brazil and Costa Rica. And for those trips, even just like getting my start, I was starting in LA first, because just getting started, getting things moving along, also like during COVID, right? But then the first one was out of the country in November. I started in Brazil. I had a friend who was just working remotely there. And she was like, come over. And so that was helpful. I think even just like getting the start, it's kind of like scary in the beginning, right? Like I remember in the beginning, it's like so much of my brain was just overwhelmed and just like it's a lot to step into something new. It's like I want to do these big things. Like now I've traveled to 40 countries altogether, but in the beginning, getting my start, it was really just like from studying abroad and I did like a post grad trip. Um, so I did that trip because there was a friend there, and then I went with my sister. I convinced my sister to go with me, and then I filmed a couple of videos out there. Usually I like to stack my travels and then also film multiple. And then I did a trip to Costa Rica, and it was my first time really pitching to like a travel company because I was also like on a really tight budget too, right? And just out of college and finally just in this freelance realm. So it's like I didn't have so much money to like invest in these crazy travels, but I found ways to do it. So I remember I pitched to like a company the creative idea that I wanted to go and film for YouTube. I was going to go and document the experience. I was able to kind of go basically for free of cost, only my time pretty much. And then I wanted to film a video. They have this really cool like airplane hotel in Costa Rica as well. So I was like very resourceful in the beginning with my travels, but also like knowing this is like a business that I wanted to start too. And then from there, the next big trip that I did was in 2022. I did like 2 months in Asia, and I started in that was like the summertime. It was like end of like July. It was like July, end of June, and I did like a month in Bali, and then I went over to Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Korea. So I went to 5 different Asian countries. It was 2 months long. That was like the big one. I was 24 years old, and it was super amazing and transformative. And that was kind of the moment where I still felt like, yeah, young and free, but I was also still like filming and kind of like hustling for sure. That time in Bali was still one of my favorites to this day. It was like a month there. I met a lot of travelers and a lot of people, digital nomads. I went on some crazy adventures. I hiked to like this blue flame volcano in Indonesia. That was epic. Still to this day, one of the most epic experiences. And then I met with a friend in Singapore from college, but this one I did a lot solo, and for some moments, some friends joined me like for a few weeks and then kind of had to go back to work, but then I just continued on my journey. Um, but it was also during like this 7-week mark, I was like in Vietnam and um it was kind of after traveling to a lot of different places, and I was like, "Go, go, go" mode. I feel like I just had so much energy during this time, probably also after COVID, and then just, like, ready to go and explore the world, and I kind of hit, like, actually a bit of a breaking point, and I was in my room in, like, my hotel, and I just, like, broke down and started crying. There's actually a video on my YouTube channel where it was, like, the truth about solo traveling, um, but what I realized during that moment was how much that I really valued or really missed, like, was, like, deep connection and community, and how much, like, how fun it was to be out and explore and see all these beautiful places and make a bunch of new friends all around, and how I felt in that moment was, like, as fun as traveling can look like on the outside, it can sometimes just uncover I think traveling or just any moments where you're pushed to your limits or you're pushed out of your comfort zone or even just hard moments in life, that's where you lead to, like, very profound breakthroughs. So basically what it uncovered for me was, like, that very thing, that core value, which was how much deep connection was important to me. I'm very much a social creature. I'm a social I'm always out meeting people, but what I love is, like, I wanna hear people's stories, the hard parts, the good parts. I wanna know, like, your quirks, and that's kind of what I missed was that feeling where the friends that know me and the silly Isabel, the little funny moments, and I craved that, and I think sometimes we take it for granted if we're in, like, our hometown and we have that all around us. So that was the big thing that I realized and yeah, community, how important it is, um, and how much I wanted to continue to, like, actually nurture that or create that for myself. Um, but yeah, continued on from there and that gave me clarity for, like, my next travel stint that I did after that, which was, in 2023, I did, like, 7 weeks around Europe. I did, yeah, it was 7 countries maybe. It was like I started in Greece, and then I went over to, like, Belgium, Netherlands, Denmark, London, Scotland, Ireland, and that one was when I really was like, "Okay, I've done the solo travel thing. I wanna, re refocus why I started the channel, which is around people, and so all of the stories and what's, like, live on my YouTube channel right now is around I really took the time during that pre-production phase to, like, find people I wanted to connect with. I reached out to them, hopped on Zoom calls, like, figured out what was the stories that I wanted to tell, and then I went and I met up with all sorts of people, in Europe and filmed and now they're live on my channel, so that's that phase, and then I did a trip to the Nordics, last year in September and which was inspiration for the new community that I'm starting, but yeah, you can also I'll stop there if you have any questions, but that's kind of like how the traveling has gone up until this point. It's like a blend of now, travel stints, and then I come back to LA and I'm in, like, my work mode, I'm editing, working on other sides of the business, but I found that that's, like, what works best for me. 'Cause I used to actually think maybe I wanted to be a full-time traveler, and what I realized was actually, like, no, I don't. Like, I really value coming back to LA, having my friends, going to events, like, this is what I love, this is Isabel, and maybe full-time works for other people, but I think what's most important, what I've learned is, like, understanding myself, who I am personally, what I care about, what are my values, and then creating a business and a life that, like, is in full alignment with that. So, yeah.
I love that. And it's just such an inspiring story of how you've been like, what do I love in life? And I'm just going to build a business that fully allows me to do exactly what I love. And yeah, I really resonate with a lot of what you shared because I was the same. I just wanted to travel. And that's kind of what drew me to entrepreneurship. And um, yeah, and I traveled a lot. And partly that was also because I was like in the middle of emigrating and I'd been living in Canada on a visa and then my visa ran out and then my partner was in the US but I didn't have a visa there so I was literally just like bumbling around and wasn't really like living anywhere, so there was definitely a lot of other factors that influenced my movement choices, but I had a similar, realization. I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm actually kind of exhausted of like, because I had my whole life's possessions like with me and I was like dragging them around the world with
My
me.
goodness.
I had a storage locker in Vancouver for a while. And I was like, oh, I just really want to have a home that I can like have all of my things and then like go on a trip and then come back. And but I think it's so valuable. That's one of the to me, the most valuable things about traveling is it's literally a time portal into a different time and space. And so it does make it really easy to redefine your identity. Like when you remove everybody and everything that kind of has, knows you and reflects back to you who you've been up until that point, when you take away all of that, I find it so much easier to just reinvent yourself and to step into a new version or like build a new habit. And that's definitely one of my favorite things about traveling and just meeting people who are so different from you that, it kind of, I think that people pleasery tendency that we have when we're around people who are like us, where we don't want to like, we're trying not to be the obvious black sheep, and we like mask to try and like not upset people or to, not trigger people. And when you're just surrounded by people who are completely different from who you are, you don't have those reference points. And so it kind of just, you're like, oh, well, I'll might as well just be who I am because I don't really know who else to be in this moment. So
Yeah.
it is so liberating in that sense. And yeah, I have so many questions, but I love how you've been able to reflect and adapt and be like, oh, I want a bit more of this and I want a little bit less of this, and really, use your creativity in your business to redefine your projects and the way that you do things so that it is feeding you and nurturing you and keeping you inspired and really feeding you. Because yeah, I think like it's intense, to suddenly make your whole life about traveling and, even like film production, like it's a lot of work. I'm curious if you would like ever want to make a movie or like a
Oh,
documentary.
great question. I felt this way when I was in Iceland, actually. So honestly, maybe. And like you just get inspired when you're in new places. And when I was out there and I was like filming and I was with a couple of friends and like yeah, I had my camera the whole time. And in these really, really cool locations. Like there was one spot where it's like there or something like that. I had my drone, I was filming an overshot and it just felt like Mars. And I was like, this is so cool. Like I could just see myself making a movie. My mom has told me same thing too. She's like, I could see you as like a director or whatever. And honestly, it could totally happen. It's very possible in my future that I would do that. Yeah.
Right. I feel like, you're like interviewing all these interesting people, like a story might just emerge that you're like, I have to tell this story. Or I'm curious, like what really stands out to you in terms of like the videos that you've made, the people that you've interviewed, like what are some of those like standout stories that really stick in your mind?
Yeah. I think some of the recent ones that I've done in the Nordics were really inspiring because it also spurred the creation of this community that I wanted to build. But those aren't out yet. But basically, two of my favorites so far was one I did like this dinner party in Sweden. It was like throwing a Swedish dinner party in Stockholm. And so I went around, I wanted to really focus on people and connection for this video. There are some other videos I do where it's like more focused on like one person and their story, which is also awesome. I can touch on that one too that I loved. But this one specifically, like I went around Stockholm and I was like, hey, do you want to join this dinner party that I'm hosting? I was able to get 10 people or 8 people together. A few of them were some people that I had already connected with, and they kind of brought a friend. But it was very intimate, and I had like a chef come and make this beautiful meal, and we gathered around the table, and we talked about dreams and the things that held people back, like those limiting beliefs, and went around each person around the table, like sharing, and then everyone went around and like broke down those beliefs for each other and those limits, and it was so empowering and so inspiring, and people left telling me like, Isabel, what you did was amazing. I got like a voice memo from one of the girls and she said, yeah, basically was like, Isabel, this was so incredible, the space that you had created. And I had like goosebumps after that day, that evening. And it was so special because, we're very lucky, I think, even just living in LA, there's like so many events, so many things that we can connect and whatnot. But even just seeing it in like a country or a city where maybe it's not so often, like they don't get to experience it as often, I really felt like how much of an impact that evening was. It was just a 2-hour evening, and it was so cool to see that transformation. So that was amazing. It's not out yet. It'll be released soon. Another one that I really loved was I did was also in Sweden. Sweden was just a really great experience. I did a video where I was like living in the Swedish countryside with this dreamer lady. She's like an artist, and I spent like 2 to 3 days at her. They have these like red iconic houses in Sweden, basically. So I was like, I want to do a video at a place in the countryside. So I found a lady. And she hosted me for a couple days. Like I got to experience what it was like. We made dinner. We went out, we went like foraging because in the Nordics it's like a big thing. You just go out and like you forage. And then I also got to sit down with her and um ask her story. And I did an interview with her. It was such a like special moment to connect. And I feel like we really were able to connect deeply about like the highs and lows of just life too. And also being like a dreamer on a completely different side of the world in a different country and the differences, there's always like cultural differences too. It's like they really love like slow living and in Sweden and the Nordics, and it was so beautiful to like experience that lifestyle versus like the hustle and bustle here in the US and just like um so to get the the polarity was cool to experience and then to come back and be able to reflect. Yeah, I loved that one, and then the other one that I would say was probably pretty inspiring and impactful that also, spurred the creation of the community was I did, like, a road trip across Norway with strangers, so I brought, like, it ended up being, like, a group of, like, 3 guys and then me, and then, who ended up joining, but it was super fun, and one of the guys, he was from Dubai, and he was gonna stay in Oslo. He didn't realize, I think, that the rest of Norway was, like, this beautiful nature landscapes and incredible like that. He was just in the city. And I was like, come on this road trip, come. And then he came and then, he was looking around at all the beauty and we took a moment outside of the car and we like sat up on, some rocks and he was like about to cry tears of joy, basically. He's like looking around and he was like, wow, this is so beautiful. Like in Dubai, it's all desert and like I've never seen or experienced even like the rain like this. Like
Wow.
they have like fake or like whatever like clouds like so yeah, those are some of the videos that I think were really really awesome. It was like very much in the connecting with people and I felt those were moments where I really connected with others and their respective stories and it was beautiful and really exciting. So yeah, it was awesome.
So amazing. Have you looked much into astrocartography?
No, I haven't. Maybe a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, I feel like people who travel a lot, would be fun to like learn about what specifically is resonant for you in these different places. I interviewed 2 astrocartographers on the podcast, so you should definitely go and check them out and like maybe book a reading and because
Ooh.
with like with transits too. So
Mhm.
one of the astrocartographers I interviewed was saying how she's a digital nomad
Yeah.
and she was following her Jupiter transit around the world because she was just like making really good money and like having loads of ease. And, like,
Ooh.
I'm like, if you have the freedom and the lifestyle to just be traveling wherever, whenever, like, why not use the stars to make sure you're gonna have a good time when you go there?
True. Yeah, I wanna look into that more actually. I think there is some website where it's like shows like how you'll be affected in each like place.
Hmm.
So I have looked into that, but yeah, I'd be curious because when I was in the Nordic, there was like so much nature, right? So I felt so grounded and I just felt
Mm.
so good. So I think that's why I loved it. Yeah.
You have a burning desire to help more people with your work and charge prices that will support your dream life. But right now, you're overthinking your prices, overcomplicating your launches, or wondering if your message is even landing with your people. You dream of reaching a place in your business where you know how to sign those perfect fit soulmate clients into your high ticket offer every month with ease. But right now, creating sales content feels like a constant drain, and you're not sure how to write in a way that attracts the right people for your offer. In Sell Your Magic Like Magic, my private mentorship, you'll fill your high ticket offers on repeat by using your astrology chart to share the parts of your story that make you the obvious choice for your soulmate clients. We'll design a custom, clear launch plan that's fun and easy to follow through with. We'll create the content pieces necessary to bring in 5 to 6 figures in sales over the coming weeks. and we'll make sure you know exactly what to prioritize and what to ditch from your calendar so you're spending way less time online and enjoying your life and business more. You can sign clients into your high ticket offers with a repeatable strategy that's sustainable and fun through every season of life. Apply using the link below. Yeah, and apparently it's worth looking into parent lines, which is something that not a lot of people know, that like will, it does influence a shift based off of just the lines that I guess the most of the maps show. So look into that. I can feel it. Astrocartography is going to be my next
Cool.
obsession in astrology, but I have a few other things to learn before I dive more into that one. Um, okay, I had another question. Oh yeah. So talk to me a little bit about your process as a content creator. So let's say you're planning a big trip. Do you try and batch some content to go out while you're traveling, or are you really like creating I'm talking mainly about like social media content and kind of like keeping up with your social presence, or is that something that you're really just like creating on the fly, day to day as you go? Like how do you manage that? Because obviously these longer videos, it's a lot more production, a lot more editing, a lot more, shooting. So, yeah, talk to me about how you navigate your flow with keeping consistent with your online brand and social media presence.
Yeah, that's a great question. It is definitely like a lot to manage because I have the YouTube videos, which are a lot to produce. Anywhere from like 20 to 30 to 40 hours to edit one video. And then there's also like the pre-production phase. And then also like keeping up with the Vegan Yzzy channel like over the past 4 years. I would say for me, I think I'm not like the super, super crazy consistent where I'm like, yes, I'm posting, making sure. I think I've tried that in the past, like with my Vegan Izzy, there were moments where I like really grinded the first couple years and I was like posting a lot. And then I got a little bit burnt out. Yeah, it's not good to get burnt out. There's ways to do things sustainably, but unfortunately I did get burnt out. And then it kind of like I needed to start posting a lot less. I just took a little bit of a break and just like focus a little bit more on myself. So yeah, long story short, for my YouTube stuff, I do kind of have a process though. I like before I go on a big trip, now what I do is like say I found that 6 weeks is like the perfect sweet spot for me to go. It's a little bit longer. I'm getting a little tired because I'm pretty much on filming and travel mode. So 6 weeks is my sweet spot. And when I'm in LA before a trip, I'm preparing, I'm planning, I'm figuring out the exact videos that I want to film. And like I do some mind mapping. I don't know if you do you know what mind mapping is?
Um, like, is it with a specific software or is it just kind of like on a notepad?
Just on a notepad. Yeah.
Okay. It's
So
like
this is like
brainstorming, creative
yeah,
brainstorming.
creative brainstorming. I learned this method from like another big travel YouTuber, and so it's kind of like Norway I put in the middle, and then I'll put like things that I think about Norway when I think about it. So it's like I think fjords, might think a road trip, I might think, you know, the Vikings, and then eventually come up with creative video ideas that way. And then that was my process. I like wrote out a bunch. I'm like researching a lot about the countries too. So then I like have the background, kind of like absorbing just a lot of information and knowledge. And then from there, it's like then I can kind of like come up with the ideas. And then I pair those also with like some YouTube research. So like I see like what's working on social media, just like analyzing the space. And also there's like a whole world of like, you know, titling is super important for YouTube especially. So it's like I have to do research there and what I think would actually hit or work or kind of work with the platform. Um, yeah, and then I kind of narrow down and then I pick and choose. So like for the Nordics one, it was like 8 videos. I also created like decks for myself so I could see visually like how I wanted the story to go, light storyboarding, but more so what I would call it is like I just photos and things that like get me like feel more like what's to come and kind of get a vibe for what I'm gonna go and film. And then I will create like outlines even for the videos too. Some will be like a little more casual, but for now that I'm like more like established and like been doing this for a few years, like want to be more organized. So like create outlines and then yeah, when I'm It's a lot of pre-planning, and then once I'm ready, I go for 6 weeks. I'm filming the entire time. I'm really not thinking about much else. I'm not really working on any other things, like, maybe it's, like, responding to emails or here and there, but I really try to make it that, like, I'm not really working on other stuff because my mind is fully on travel mode. And, like, I'm thinking, like, I have to, like, film, I'm charging my batteries, I'm, like, having to, like, put my SD cards in, like, make sure that footage is getting transferred over. So, yeah, I go and film for 6 weeks. It's pretty, like, every single day I'm, like, filming something. Maybe, like, here and there, I now know to, like, give myself, like, a day to chill or, like, not do stuff because it's pretty intensive. And then, yeah, I come back and I have, like, 8 plus videos to come and, like, edit throughout the next however many months that's gonna last me. There was one trip which is, like, way too much. I did, like, the 7 weeks in Europe, and I filmed, like, 18 different YouTube videos, and that was, like, a lot, and that's why I still have so much, but that's not necessary. I think now I just wanna be, like, more, mindful of, like, exactly what I'm gonna film. Um, yeah, sometimes I'm, like, pitching to brands too before if I wanna, like, work with some companies, like, in Iceland, I was able to work with a camper van company, so I, like, pitched the idea to them beforehand. So, yeah, find ways to, like, be resourceful or cut costs as much as possible because it's, like, a lot to produce these videos. Yeah, and then I come back and I'm just, yeah, editing and whatnot, and when I have that time, I can, like, release a little bit more consistently. But yeah, I mean, I will admit it's definitely a lot to balance everything. So I'm kind of taking a little bit of a break. It feels like I haven't posted in a while for our YouTube, but since I launched like my new business, I'm like 90% of my time is going towards that with any new thing. But I've also just like, I'm okay with like accepting certain seasons or like where I'm at with things where it's like I'd love to post, but in my brain it's like I need to prioritize like what's important too. Like if my business is gonna this new launch will like bring in some new income, then eventually what I'd like to do is just like hire like a rough cut editor more consistently. And so my time spent like editing right now isn't the best use of my time. So I'm taking a little bit of a break, but I want to get back into it hopefully in March and get the next video out because I have a lot to post and whatnot. But I think it's just like assessing what works best for me and prioritizing. Yeah. And knowing that I don't have to push myself or do things or like post when it feels right. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your process with us. I think it's so interesting, and I love how you really allow yourself to just like go super deep into your whatever your creative project is that you're working on at the moment. And that you've been able to launch so many really interesting and different projects as an online creator. So obviously I could talk to you about this all day. I think you're so inspiring and all of your businesses are super interesting. And um yeah, so why don't you tell everyone who's listening who wants to learn more about your work and get into your world, like what have you got going on and where can people find you?
Yeah, of course. If you want to follow me on Instagram at Ysabel Chav, I post a lot there. I post a lot of behind the scenes, a lot of updates. My YouTube channel is called Global Dream Team, three spaces. And then I launched my global community, which is like www.globaldreamteam.co, not .com, .co. And if you're interested in being involved with that, that's like a whole community space. There's like an online platform where people around the world can join, people that are pursuing their dreams. I'm doing different travel experiences, retreats, dinner parties, co-living. It can be a part of that. And there's also like areas for professional growth. So I'm getting cool speakers to join, different workshops, masterminds that I'm hosting, accountability pods. So it's really like the full, if you're ready to go and have fun too along the way and these different experiences. And that's an amazing community that you can join and be a part of. So yeah, I would say those are the three areas you can kind of be up to date with me. Vegan Yzzy on Instagram and TikTok. That's vegan and then YZZY. I post healthy living and lifestyle content there as well.
Amazing. Definitely get in her world if you have big dreams and you want to turn them into your reality and have so much fun doing it. So please share this episode with anyone who you know who would love it. And please leave us a review. And thank you so much for being here. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
For more inspirational content, head over to my website withsarahmac.com and please support the show by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Are you a healer, witch, creative, or magical entrepreneur who's ready to fill your high-ticket one-on-one or group coaching program, and you want a sales page that will do the selling for you? Maybe you're tired of having a calendar full of sales calls and you want a sales page that can clearly articulate your offer and guide interested clients to feel ready to buy without needing to talk to you first. Maybe you already have a sales page and people are clicking on it but not reaching out, and you want to feel clear on what to say and what not to say to turn interested people into actual buyers. Having sales pages for my offers has led to filling a high-ticket group coaching program with 10 clients at $1,000 each while traveling on vacation for 2 weeks and launching using repurposed content. Having 5-figure months from sales into my $5,000 evergreen mastermind with no live launching beyond daily social media content. Signing clients into my $17,000 private mentorship program with no sales calls. When you book my Cosmic Sales Intensive, you'll walk away with a full, clear, compelling sales page for your high-ticket offer that will attract ready-to-buy clients and that you can continue to make sales with for years to come. Clients who have been through this offer have created a sales page that went on to sell out a high-ticket relationship coaching mastermind, had 20 applications within 48 hours of publishing, sold several $15,000 private mentorship packages, and even had a 6-figure launch with the sales page and content strategy we created within just a few weeks. Stop losing people with fluffy language that sounds the same as so many others in your industry and clearly articulate why your work is worth $5,000 to $10,000 plus, even when you sell things like astrology, human design, breathwork, mindset coaching, or energy work. Book your Cosmic Sales Intensive now at withsarahmac.com or via the link in my description.